Adrian did it? That's what it looks like. Dude, no way. That woman couldn't do anything like that. In court today, there will be a mountain of evidence that will implicate you. A mountain of evidence? I'm certain there is someone out there trying very hard to pin this whole thing on you. Please, Mr. Lawyer, dude, like I said yesterday, I'm refreshing like a spring breeze, alright? That has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I can't let any sort of scandal ruin that. I understand. Well, it's almost time. Mia, we must get a complete acquittal today. I know. But I can't focus on Maya's situation right now. Or Pearl's, either. No matter what, I have to focus on winning this case by the end of the day. Indeed. Well, let's get going. It's him. This is Wright. Good morning. This is it, Mr. Attorney. The day of the trial. Maya, she's unharmed, right? Well, when I checked on her earlier this morning, she seemed a bit, shall we say, tired. Don't worry, people don't die that easily. They do start implying pretty heavily that Maya's gonna starve to death, even though it's only been, like, a day. Besides, what you really should be concentrating on is winning today's trial. Grr. For my sake, as well as yours, you must win today's trial. Which is why I sent a little present this morning. Present? What in the world would you want to give me? You'll figure it out once the trial starts, and even if you don't like my gift, I expect you to graciously accept it and win the day's contest, if you please. Wait. The kidnapper sent me a present? Mr. Lawyer dude, who was that? No one. It has nothing to do with you, so forget you heard anything. Dude, did your nose just get longer? Court is now in session for the trial of Matt Ungard. Are the prosecution and defense ready? The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution does not appear to be ready, Your Honor. I say, Mr. Wright, what happened to Miss Von Carr? Why would I know? Why are you asking me? I don't know, Your Honor. Why are you getting mad at me? Your Honor. Please be quiet, bailiff. Court is in session. If you must tell me something, please keep it brief. Now then, what is it? Prosecutor Von Karma has... This morning, Miss Von Karma was shot by an unknown gunman. What? Shot? Somehow, I think this is the present that man was talking about. His present. Miss Von Karma is one of the top prosecutors in the country at the moment. If she were to disappear, it would be to your advantage. This is totally insane. Miss Von Karma, is she all right? I don't have that answer. She's alive and in stable condition. Oh, that's good. Whew. Okay, I thought he'd given up. Your Honor, due to the circumstances, Miss Franziska Von Karma cannot appear in court today. I, Miles Edgeworth, will be taking her place. The prosecution is ready, naturally. Miss Von Karma was shot in her right shoulder, the most heroic of injuries, and she is currently undergoing surgery. Luckily, I have looked at the case file. I have looked this case over and am familiar with the details. The prosecution seeks to prove the guilt of Mr. Matt Ungard. The court acknowledges the prosecution. Right. I finally found the answer I was struggling for on my long journey this past year. By the time this case comes to an end, you too will know the answer. Now then, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. Please bring Detective Gumshoe to the witness stand. Witness, your name and occupation. My name's Dick Gumshoe, sir. I'm a detective down at the precinct. For now. For now? After this trial's over, I'm supposed to turn in my badge, sir. Detective Gumshoe. The prosecution has no need for a depressed witness. Lift your head and face forward like a proud officer, Detective Dick Gumshoe. Yes, sir. Now, let's have your testimony. If we want to explore the various facets of this case, we must start with that. Get ready, Phoenix. This is going to be one very rough fight. Yeah, it would have to be with Edgeworth as my opponent. The answer he was struggling for. Interesting. Show me this answer you finally found, Edgeworth. His murder happened after the Hero of Heroes award ceremony, sir. The victim, Juan Corrida, was found dead in his hotel room. After looking into the cause of death, we believe he was definitely murdered, sir. Fucking stellar investigating. At first, we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. However, we later found out the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder. How? How did you determine this exactly? After the award ceremony ended, the victim was alone in his room? Yes, sir. Both the victim and defendant went alone to their rooms, sir. Well, that's not true. I see. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. So, first off, tell me about this guitar case that you've apparently ruled out. Why did you think that? Because it was empty, pal. The Jammin' Ninja doesn't go anywhere without his bright red guitar, and we couldn't find it anywhere at the scene of the crime. Oh, then how about this theory? A fan really wanted the guitar and did the crime to get it. How's that? I wouldn't honestly be surprised if that was the case. Fans will do some pretty fucked up things. We thought of that too, but... The only... The only fingerprints on the guitar case were the victims. Only the victims, huh? I see. So much for my theory, then. Okay. Only bears Corrida's fingerprints. What convinced you it had nothing to do with the case? The guitar wasn't at the Gatewater Hotel that night. Well, then where was it? The bright red guitar was eventually found at the TV studio. The victim, Juan Corrida, had apparently only taken the case with him, sir. So you mean he forgot to put the guitar inside the case? Yes, sir. Even when he was on stage for the ceremony, he didn't have his guitar. So that guitar case was empty even before he got to the hotel. Yeah, that's right. So it really had nothing to do with the case after all. Our first order of business should be to gather more info. Yes. Let's just press on the rest then. Would you please give us a brief timeline of what happened after the ceremony? Okay, pal. The ceremony started at 6 p.m. It ended around 8 p.m., and then there was a short break. A special post-ceremony show was supposed to start in the lobby 30 minutes later. And that's when the victim's body was found, correct? Which is to say the murder occurred during that 30-minute break period. Please continue with your testimony, Detective. The person who discovered the victim's body was Adrian Andrews, correct? Yeah. Who is this Adrian Andrews you're talking about? She's the defendant, Matt Ungard's manager, sir. She's a really pretty lady, sir. So she's a pretty lady. I wonder if she will grace us with her presence. Shut the fuck up. When the post-ceremony show was about to start, she went to get Matt Ungard. After visiting his room, she went to the victim's room to get him for the show, sir. I see. And that's when she found the victim's body. Why did she do that, though? Hold on. Why'd she go to Juan's room? She wasn't Juan's manager. Anyway. The cause of death, wasn't that because Mr. Corrida had been stabbed in the chest? Only a careless amateur would believe something so brainless as that, pal. No, I immediately figured it out by the knife being about a centimeter into his body. Take a good hard look at the crime scene. Now a real pro's attention would be drawn here, to this bandana. What? Banana? His bandana, sir. That's the thing wrapped around his neck, sir. Oh, he was strangled. Ah, yes, I see. His banana-scented bandana. Fuck, that was hard to say. Then what about the knife? It seems to have been stuck on the victim's chest on purpose after his death. So we have a crafty murderer on our hands. I believe that is enough. First, the victim was choked to death with his bandana. Then, after the victim was dead, the killer deliberately stabbed him with a knife. Which brings me to my next point. Why, though, is the question. you know, why stab him? Oh, probably because it's got somebody's fingerprints on it. Why, then, did the police arrest Matt Ungard? Because there was reason enough to suspect him. Here it comes. Looks like Edgeworth's back in full swing. Very well, Detective Gumshoe, please testify about this matter. Yes, sir. Matt Ungard and Juan Carita were huge rivals with each other. They each thought the other guy was in his way. That's motive enough in my book. As for evidence, there's the Jammin' Ninja's button. It was ripped off the ninja costume and found in Mr. Ungard's hakama. Right, it's got blood on it, though. So that means it was taken off after he was stabbed. Right, like... It couldn't have come off in a struggle. The defendant's fingerprints were also all over the knife. The defendant bought the knife for the crime, which makes this a premeditated murder. Well, that part should be easy enough to disprove. Do we have something in here about them eating food together? In the photo? Like, definitely didn't buy the knife. Maybe needs to push on something for that. So the defendant's fingerprints were found on the knife used in the stabbing. It was sort of sticky on the handle. It was sort of sticky. Oh, I'm stupid. It was sort of sticky on the handle, so the fingerprints came out pretty clearly, sir. Oh, Gatewater is engraved. Well, fuck, easy peasy bust on that last part. And there's the button. That was found in the defendant's clothes, was it? And this button is also covered in blood? Yes, and we know the blood on it is the victim's blood, sir. What? All of this points very clearly to the defendant, doesn't it? Yes, it most certainly does, Your Honor. Ready to give in yet, Wright? I'll find the hole in your argument somehow. You can press as hard as you'd like, just hurry up with your usual pointless questions. Please, you've never beaten me once. Come on, dude. So, first off, the defendant bought the knife for the crime. No, incorrect. Look, it says Gatewater. Wait a second. What? So the basis of your argument was that this was a premeditated murder is simply that... Hold on, I just got beeped on Discord. Who is responsible? Unimportant. So the basis of your argument that this was a premeditated murder is simply that my client bought a knife beforehand? That's right, pal. The defendant. Pretty crazy how you seem to have fabricated this assessment whole cloth from nothing. Like, what was this based on exactly? Did not buy this knife. Huh? Where did you even get this idea from? That's truly baffling that you thought he bought this knife when there's no indication of that. It's clearly just a fucking dinner knife. Take a good look at the handle of this knife and you'll see what I'm talking about. Huh? It has a Gatewater seal set into the handle. Gatewater? I think I heard that name somewhere before. That's the name of the hotel, the Gatewater Hotel. Uh-oh. Yeah, you just made this up. Like, there was nothing to base this on. The murdered knife was actually property of the hotel, which means this murder was not premeditated. Now, note that he did say, sort of implying that it was, in fact, a murder done by the client, just not premeditated. Well, this is very true. This is a very big... Oh, what is it, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sorry, but the defense is simply too careless. What? I think whether the crime was premeditated or not has already been determined. How so? I admit this knife is hotel property. There's no one currently on the police force that is dumb enough to not realize this. But I didn't know. The question is, Where did this knife come from?
Why, that's obvious. It came from the victim, Mr. Karita's room.
Sorry, Your Honor, but that's incorrect. The victim ate a last meal before he was murdered. With that being the case, I would like to draw the court's attention to what is on top of the table.
Well, there's a knife and fork on the table. Well then, where in the world did this knife come from?
If it pleases the court, I would like for us to recall the room of the defendant, Mr. Matt Ungard. Especially what was on top of his table. There is something missing. Perhaps it is a single knife. What are you talking about? There's a sword right there. We investigated the leftover dishes for fingerprints, and while we were investigating, we came to the conclusion that Mr. Matt Ungard's knife was missing. Ugh. Mr. Ungard had gone to the victim's room with the knife he had used during dinner. Why would he carry a knife on a visit? To kill, of course. And with that, I believe the prosecution has proven this was a premeditated murder.
Amazing, Mr. Edgeworth. Absolutely brilliant. A brilliantly clear deduction.
It seems like Edgeworth has this plan from the very beginning. This must be one of those traps, and I just walked headlong into it. We do this all the time.
A murder weapon with fingerprints and a button from the victim's costume. There is quite a sizable amount of evidence here.
I can safely say that any further deliberation is a waste of Your Honor's time. Although, I wouldn't mind if the defense were to present evidence not yet shown to the court. Evidence not yet shown. He means evidence that the court hasn't seen yet. In other words, new evidence.
What does the defense have to say about this, Mr. Wright?
Well, Phoenix. The judge is favoring the prosecution right now. If we answer with something wrong here, that gavel of his will be ringing out the sound of our defeat.
Mr. Wright, do you have some important and necessary to present to this court?
I mean, sure. There's one piece of evidence that catches my attention. Something that this court has yet to see.
Mr. Wright, I will say this one more time. I do not feel this trial needs to continue at all. However, I am giving you one chance, and only one.
What the judge is saying, right, is don't try pulling one of your usual bluffs here. Hold on, I'm just going to save the game real quick, because I'm not wholly confident on what I'm going to say, and it gives the vibe of being an instant death.
Yes, you may now present one and only one piece of evidence.
The wine glass. I was thinking maybe this, but the court has seen the guitar case. The only evidence left is the wine glass. Because the wine glass has obviously been put there, like, after whatever occurred, right? So you kind of have to explain this. I think it's the wine glass.
This is a wine glass, is it not?
Please look at the photo of the crime scene one more time. The scene is a mess because of the victim's struggle against his assailant. The vase was broken. His makeup is all over the floor. Why is he wearing makeup? He wears a mask. What's the point of the makeup? These were all things that were at one point sitting on top of the dresser.
Well, yes, I see your point.
However, this glass that is sitting on top of the dresser is mysteriously untouched. The only thing that has not fallen over with everything else is this wine glass. This piece of evidence is more than strange enough to warrant further consideration. Well, what do you all have to say?
Well, yes, it is a little peculiar.
Yes, isn't it? I thought it was.
You can stop looking at me with those puppy dog eyes of yours now. Mr. Edgeworth?
What is it, Your Honor?
Your opinion.
You don't need my opinion. Because there's no special meaning to that glass. What? It's safe to say the wine glass was set there after the crime took place. By the person who discovered the body, Adrian Andrews, for example. She could have easily been so shocked she set the glass down without thinking.
That does sound very plausible.
Mr. Wright, could Miss Andrews really have set that glass down without thinking? No. What do I say after I say no? Cause... No, I'm not confident about this, actually. If I appear weak here, the trial's over. I can look for my proof later. For now, I should trust with my instinct and point with certainty. They might just fall for it, if you're thought-provoking enough. The defense would like to challenge the prosecution's theory. We would like to see something that proves it was Miss Andrews who set the cup on the table.
You've turned the situation on its head yet again, as usual. Mr. Edgeworth, do you have any proof to back up your claim?
There's no way he has any, he's just bluffing. Unlike Mr. Wright, I never say anything unless I have the evidence to support it. What? You're not thinking hard enough today, Wright. Did you think this wine glass escaped my notice? Then, of course, it has been thoroughly inspected for fingerprints. Fingerprints? There was only one set of fingerprints left on this wine glass.
Only one? Well, whose were they?
They were not the victims nor the defendants. Rather, they were one of Adrian Andrews. What? This is why I said that the person who had discovered the body had left it there. Are we done here, Mr. Wright? It's strange how none of you are even prepared to consider the fact it was the person who discovered the body who did it. 'Cause, like, usually the person that discovers the body is always considered a suspect. Miss Andrews was probably holding the glass when she went to see Mr. Corrida. But upon seeing his dead body, she was stunned and set the glass down on the dresser.
What you just said makes a lot of sense.
Tisk, tisk, tisk. Now do you see, Mr. Wright? You can't change any part of my scenario, as it explains everything all too well. I've thought long and hard this past year about what it means to be a prosecutor. And from here on out, I will show you the answer I have come to discover.
Oh, wait a second, Mr. Edgeworth. I think the prosecution has provided enough evidence for me to enter my verdict.
Unfortunately, I cannot allow you to pass judgment yet. The prosecution has yet another witness we would like the court to hear from. Another witness? Yes. Bailiff, please bring in the next witness. What in the world is Mr. Edgeworth thinking? No. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. Witness, your name and occupation.
G-O-T-C-C-H-A.
Grr. I wonder what happened to that calm composure he had earlier.
Oh, edgy boy, it's been what, a year since we last met, hasn't it? You should be more happy to see me.
I saw the report with her testimony, but who knew that under that helmet, it was the Wicked Witch of the witness stand?
I tell you, this time I know what I'm supposed to do. So today, I'm gonna tell you anything and everything. Even things that don't have to do with that terrible crime. Miss Witness, that terrible crime is all the court needs to hear. Oof! Oh no, I've been shot, oh god. Shush, I'm talking to my dear Edgy Wedgie right now. Don't interrupt us, Graves. Yes, madam.
No, please, by all means, interrupt her, please. Anyway, witness your testimony, please.
It's true what they say, that youth are hot-headed nowadays. Not that I mind, they're all edgy. Now then, what should I start with?
The witness on the security detail at the hotel on the night of the murder. Is this correct, Miss Oldbag? I didn't read that correctly.
It was a great job, being able to see my dearie Juan. It was almost too much for my little heart to handle.
Oh man, you were a fan of the victim?
Look, everyone is crazy over that Ungard saying he's cute in a fresh way, spring breeze or some nonsense. But not me, I wouldn't say anything so silly. After all, I've no interest in a little child like him.
How old's Edgeworth? 25? A little older than I thought he was. Wait. Okay, I wasn't expecting Edgeworth to be older than Juan. Juan looked fairly old. But those two were the same age. They were? Oh my god.
Anyway, as I was saying, I was pacing in front of his room that night.
Very well, please tell the court what you witnessed the night of the murder.
Leave it to me, Edgy Poo. Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace around in the hallway in front of his room. There was something I was interested in finding out, you know. Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out the whole time. That's when someone showed up. It was a man coming out of poor Juan's room. It was Ungard, Matt Ungard. He was trying to sneak his way out of Juan's room.
So Mr. Ungard came out from the victim's room.
See, it has to be him. He's the murderer.
I see. Very well, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Alright. Miss Oldbag, what was your post on that night?
The lobby. I was supposed to help set up the stage for the trifling show. But I refused to help, I'll have you know. It was for that lead-headed samurai show. Heh, I even took out a few of the nails.
Maybe it was a good thing the show didn't go on.
Besides, that manager with the glasses seemed to be working hard at it without me. So I thought I'd take a break and spread my wings a little.
And that's when you went to hang around the victim's door? Something you were interested in? And just what was that?
It's not some little thing I can just go around telling everyone, you know. It's top secret between me and Juan. Oh, and Edgy Poo, of course.
Mr. Edgeworth, what is this thing she was interested in? I have no idea. I despise gossip, Your Honor. Gossip? But should it prove relevant, we can always have it appended to the testimony later. Looks like we shouldn't force it right now. And did the witness stay in the vicinity of the victim's door the entire time? Oh, then would you tell us the number of people who went in and out of Mr. Kurita's room?
I have no idea. I wasn't born so I could count things for those who don't pay attention in class. That's why ever since I turned 20, I quit keeping track of how old I really am.
Oh yes, well, that would explain why your age was not included in the report. In any case, the witness then saw someone, correct? Who in the world was that?
I'm not allowed to say. This sort of information has to be carefully guarded from the masses, Sonny. The man that came out of Juan's room. He was.
Yes, he was.
I'm too scared I can't say his name out loud.
Oh, what I wouldn't give to have Francisca's whip right now.
Well, I guess I can tell you since he was such a bad boy anyway.
What a weird interaction. Fuck. Clicked on the wrong button. You saw my client. Are you sure about that?
Yes, sir.
Really?
Annoying brat, when I say I saw someone, I saw that person.
Why do I get a sense of deja vu? Maybe to avoid a repeat of last year, I should delve into this a bit further. Hey, what was he wearing? Please tell the court about the man's clothes in more detail.
What a troublesome man you are, really, as if something like that matters.
But it does.
Now what was it? Oh yes, it was that thing.
What thing?
That gaudy thing he's always wearing. That racing jacket.
He was wearing that at the detention center, too.
That thing's meant for nothing but seducing women out of their pantaloons. Men.
Right. So, Mr. Wright, was this testimony just now really important or relevant in any way? It was very important. Of course it was important, Your Honor. Then perhaps you would like to point out what part of that testimony was important. Don't you see it, Edgeworth? Your Honor, I request the witness said about the jacket be appended to her testimony.
I don't see where you're going with this, but all right, witness, please.
So, the thing is that it can't be that because he was about to go back on stage, so there would be no reason for him to change out of his costume. Right? If he was wearing the racing jacket, that means he changed out of the costume for a 30-minute break where he would have to put the costume back on again before he went onto stage. But how do I say this? Oh, and the Nickel Samurai. I've gotten the two of them confused. Because the Nickel Samurai was... No. Have I gotten them confused? Who played the Jammin' Ninja? No. Okay. Yes. So it is that. Real? No? But he was about to go back on stage. I felt like that was pretty good logic myself. So... maybe it's not this, then. Ah! Other problem. This was in his Hakama. He couldn't have been wearing the racing jacket then. Because otherwise, how would the button have gotten into his Hakama? Miss Oldbag.
What? Don't say my name for no reason.
Do you know what this is?
Ah, it's a button number 2 on the Jammin' Ninja's costume.
Now I know she's an obsessed fan. She identified it in a single glance.
Give it here. If you don't give it to me, I'll punish you with this.
Wow. She really is a diehard fan to want a button covered in blood. This button was discovered on Mr. Ungard's body during a full-body search.
See? This button proves beyond a shadow of a doubt it was that rascal Ungard.
It was caught up in the pleats of his Nickel Samurai Hakama pants.
See? And Ungard is the Nickel Samurai.
Witness. Now, it may just be me, and I do have an active imagination. But just now, didn't you say that the defendant, Matt Ungard, was wearing his usual racing jacket?
Ah, I'm so sorry. Sorry that you judge people based on what they wear. If I wore the trendiest but instead I have to put up with this ridiculous-looking outfit, you'd this be hideous. I've got tape recorders stuck to my chest. It's heavy, so heavy. I want to switch to CDs. Kids out there, understand? Now take a look in the mirror. Your clothes are a documentary on curling. You should take a... Now hold your tongue still there for a second. So what you saw in actuality was not Mr. Ungard, the man. But Mr. Ungard, the Nickel Samurai. But when you think about it, they're really one and the same anyway.
As if we haven't gone through this exact thing in the past. Miss Oldbag, this is a very important point we're talking about.
Edgy Poo, do you think so too?
Well, it might be something worth considering. Just say it's important and agree with me for a change.
Witness, think carefully and try to remember as much as you can before you testify. All right, if you insist.
I should be the one sighing, not you.
Ungard. Yes, now I remember. The Nickel Samurai. That's right, it was the Nickel Samurai I saw. Yes, it would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. He had to go to the post-stage ceremony show right after the crime, you know. So he must have worn that nickel samurai costume when he was stabbing poor Juan.
I knew it. I knew you'd say he was inside that costume.
What? Did you think there could have been someone else inside that costume? Don't be a bad little boy, thinking such rude things.
But the possibility does exist. It's almost like a case has hinged on this very fact before that you were present for.
Ah, the youngins today. I told you there's no way it was anyone else. How do you know that? Well, because I said so, and what I say is the truth.
At least she's just as delightful a witness as she was a year ago.
Mr. Wright, who may cross-examine the witness.
So, the problem that I do have is that she was saying he was stabbing poor Juan, which I'm like, well, there's no blood on his nickel samurai costume, or on him though, so, but I don't know if I can really point that out yet. Be a little more careful with your testimony, please. Not too long ago you said he was wearing his racing jacket, and now he's not?
Not too long ago. Then let me ask you this. When you were itty-bitty, what was your grand dream?
I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. Now I want to be an influencer, which is basically the same thing, you know.
What did you want to be when you grew up, a whippersnapper?
My dream, huh? Well, I wanted to be Judge Wagner, hero of the public's court. So what?
See, and look at where you are now. You're not Judge Wagner, are you now? Are you?
Well, what is this? What is going on?
What I said earlier. Who puts any weight into things like that? The now is everything. I can't be held responsible for the past.
Your Honor, I agree. So my client should be released. Since when did court become theatrics over testimonies? As if it hasn't always been that way. Come on.
All that matters is the man was inside that costume. Isn't that enough?
And why would that be?
That way, no one could see his face, of course.
But there's still no advantage for him that I can see. In fact, you would think the costume would make him stand out all the more.
You are such an annoying child, do you know that? You disagree with everything I say.
Have you tried saying something correct? Isn't that what you're always doing to me?
I get it. Maybe it was more troublesome for him to change in and out of his costume.
Was there anyone else scheduled to appear at the post-ceremony show?
Well, all the contestants were supposed to go on stage in a friendly gesture thing.
And that included the Jammin' Ninja.
Of course it included him. That's why when Ungard came out of dear Juan's room, I didn't give it a second thought.
I see.
Well, anyway.
So let me ask you one last time. The person you saw, it really was the Nickel Samurai.
As showy as ever. Haven't I been saying that from the very beginning?
Can I throw in the towel yet? You don't need to think too hard on this one. There's a contradiction in her testimony and it's sitting in plain sight. It is. What's the contradiction? Hold on. Does it cover his hands? The problem is that his fingerprints are present on the knife. If he was wearing the costume, he'd also be wearing gloves, so there shouldn't logically be any fingerprints on this. Please take a look at this.
Yeah, so it's a knife, big deal. If you're trying to scare me with that, I'll have you know it won't work.
No, that's not my intention at all.
Well, that's the knife that was used in the murder, correct?
Your Honor, do you know why this piece of evidence is important to this case?
You don't even have to ask. It's because the defendant's fingerprints are on it.
Is that what you're driving at? That is exactly what I'm driving at.
What are we driving at? And whose car are we driving?
If Mr. Ungard really was in the Nickel Samurai costume at the time of the murder, then it's impossible for his fingerprints to have been left on this knife. Actually, he would have wiped all previous fingerprints on this knife right off.
Oh, that's right. The Nickel Samurai wears gloves, doesn't he?
He probably took his gloves off before he began the stabbing. And why would he do something like that? To leave his prints on the murder weapon? True. There's no way you would do something like that. However, there's one possibility. Then let's hear your possibility. It's very simple. The defendant went to the victim's room while in costume as the Nickel Samurai. At that time, the defendant had no intent to murder. He was probably just going to relax and talk with the victim about the stage show. But now you're contradicting yourself, Edgeworth. You know? Which is why he took his gloves off, but you said it was a premeditated murder like 10 minutes ago.
But the murder still did take place.
It's well known that there was bad blood between the defendant and the victim.
Yes, I have heard that before. Well, Mr. Wright, what have you to say? What do you have to say about Mr. Edgeworth's theory?
So let me get this straight. Edgeworth's theory goes like this. When the defendant went to the victim's room, he had no intention of killing him. Now up to this point, are there any problems with his theory? There is a contradiction. This theory contradicts something in an earlier testimony. What are you babbling about? Now, for argument's sake, let's suppose Mr. Ungard was the killer. If that's the case, I think it's impossible for the killer to have gone to the victim's room without intent. Wait, what do I present for this? Because do I just present the knife again? Because the point is that he took the knife. He had to have intended to do it if he took the knife with him. So if he didn't do it intentionally, why was the knife with him? So I just present the knife again, right? This knife. This was used by Mr. Ungard at dinner.
Well, yes, we did establish that.
Which means that if my client was in fact the killer, then he brought this knife with him when he went to visit Mr. Kurita, I suppose. However, you just said it yourself. At the time, the defendant had held no intent to murder. If that were true, then why would he bring a knife? He wouldn't, would he? As you said, like 10 minutes ago, Edgeworth. Which means, Mr. Edgeworth, your theory was flawed from supposition 1. And one more thing. If the murderer was wearing the costume at the time of the murder, then there should be glove marks left on the knife. Which means the defendant's fingerprints shouldn't be all over it like a bee's on a hive. And that brings me to my final point. This knife was planted by the real killer to hide their identity and mislead us.
Order, order, I say. Order in the court. Was this knife really planted by the killer? Why would the murderer do such a thing?
To frame Matt Ungard. It's to frame my client, Mr. Ungard, of course.
To frame?
Aren't you forcing the interpretation just a little too hard on this one? But we just established the witness saw the Nickel Samurai in costume. If that were true, then there shouldn't be a single fingerprint on this knife.
Ugh. Witness.
Looks like I've made your life a teeny bit more difficult, huh, Jipu?
Witness, did you or did you not really see the Nickel Samurai?
Well, I guess at first I might have forgotten, but...
Are you saying you mixed up Mr. Ungard with the Nickel Samurai, his character on TV?
But I mean, I can't really do anything about that now. Look, I was waiting around in front of their doors because, well, I wasn't waiting around for the Nickel Samurai, that's for sure.
She wasn't waiting for the Nickel Samurai. Alright then, who were you waiting around for then?
That's top secret to anyone outside of security.
I have a feeling that you were waiting for Miss Juan Corrida, am I correct, witness?
That way you think you are a sad amateur with a terrible case of nearsightedness.
Amateur? Me? What am I an amateur of?
So Old Bag was waiting around in front of the victim's room. But it doesn't seem like she was waiting to catch a glimpse of Mr. Corrida. Maybe the old Bag was waiting around for that person. If that's what I think Mia's hinting at, it's certainly possible. Miss Old Bag, you were waiting for this person to come out of the victim's room, weren't you? Adrian. No, Adrian.
Who is this person?
This is Adrian Andrews, Mr. Angard's manager.
But why would the defendant's manager be in the victim's room?
It seems that this is the latest rumor in circulation, Your Honor.
Oh, this is... I see. Indeed, yes, well, quite. Yes.
The judge seems to be really into the article, if it can be called such a thing.
Yes. Well, then this manager with the initials AA, are you saying it's...
Adrian Andrews, without a doubt. The witness thought so as well.
Looks like you found me out. Well, that's fine. I can throw away this whole sworn to confidentiality stuff then.
A witness? What in the world are you?
Watch out, Phoenix. I've got a bad feeling about this.
I got some information. Some very secret information from a certain source. So that's why I was doing my own little investigation. In secret, of course.
But what for?
Oh, just for myself. Personal reasons and all that.
Well, Mr. Edgeworth, how will you proceed from here?
I don't really want to do this. However, I cannot simply let this point slide.
I see. Very well then, witness. Please testify about this secret information.
Get ready. This is gonna take the wind right out of you youngins.
I'm sure we're all capable of handling this. Really, it's not like we're 10-year-olds.
That Ungard is one evil, evil man. He thought he could ruin poor Juan by causing a huge scandal. So to do that, he sent his own manager to get in close with Juan. I cannot condone such dirty tricks, so I took action. Oh, and this is top secret, you got that? Nobody else but you and me know yet, okay?
The defendant sent his manager? What a distasteful subtopic for this court.
You don't love juicy gossip?
What? Nobody's above gossip. And isn't there a saying, the truth is never pleasant?
Never heard that one before.
What?
Mr. Edgeworth, what about this Adrian Andrews person?
We have looked into this matter, and found the truth that the article proposes is in fact baseless gossip.
But should this be true? Then this proves that the defendant did bear ill will toward the victim.
We already knew that. So that means I have to smash this rumor once and for all.
Now then, Mr. Wright,
them having beef with each other is a matter of public knowledge, though. What does this really change?
You may cross-examine the witness.
Be careful, the old bag seems rather excited right now.
That's right, Ungard is nothing but your average foul-blooded youth.
Well, as the old saying goes, you gotta burn old bags with fire. Time to fire up the afterburners and hit the highway to the danger zone. Shut the fuck up, Phoenix. Alright. A scandal? What do you mean by that?
You're a dim-witted one, aren't you? I can't believe you don't know what a scandal is. Honestly, what are they teaching kids in middle school these days?
No, I wasn't asking about the word scandal means. Even I know that much.
Well, that Ungard thought he could own a monopoly on popularity.
You don't have any proof Mr. Ungard did any such thing.
You must be suffering from shock, the shock of hearing the truth. And now, since you're in so much shock, you can't do anything right now.
See, but you're presenting a new accusation, which means that you need to prove the accusation in some way. You know, you can't just say it. I could also say a unicorn did it, but I can't prove that. I can't, you're right, I can't do any such thing, but boy, do I wish I could do something about you.
Alright then, show me what you've got. Can you show me proof that Ungard didn't bear any ill will towards Swan?
I mean... I can't do that because he did bear ill will towards Swan. This is public knowledge. I will decline. I don't have anything to offer.
See, just as I thought. And you were lecturing me about saying things without proof.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You've just given me a free pass to say whatever I want, whenever I want, silly boy.
Me and my big mouth.
That's the way the cookie crumbles, for you anyway.
So... Wait.
What? I'm a busy woman. Tea time with the kids is over.
Secret information that no one else knows yet. If that's true, then how do you know this secret information?
Huh? Well, that's because I'm a pro. Yes, that's it. It's a secret. Even if you drilled a hole into my brain, you'll never find out.
How in the world did that old bag get such secret piece of information? It's probably Lotta's camera. So no one else is supposed to know this information, correct? If that's true, then why do you know it, Miss Oldbag?
What? Why are you looking at me like that? Stop that.
Witness! But this is how you came to acquire your secret info, isn't it? The investigative photographer, Lotta Hart.
Oh yes, I remember that mischievous girl.
She reported that she had lost a certain note she had written to herself.
She reported such a thing?
On that piece of paper, she had written down some of her outrageous her impressions about the relationship between the victim and Miss Andrews.
What? Outrageous ideas, you say?
No, I said impressions.
Then everything written on this piece of paper is completely meaningless?
Ah, that's it. That's the note.
No, you see, this is something completely different. This is my top secret list of groceries to buy.
Then you're the one who took Miss Hart's note.
I'm a huge fan of Juan, that's why. That infamous puffy-haired whippersnapper. She's working with that evil Ungard. She said so herself. Ungard, I'm his sidekick. She was so happy, smiling like a silly duck. I was only checking what she had written. Ejipo, you believe me, don't you? I was only trying to help out like the angel I am. It's the only one little piece of paper. I've never taken anything else before.
You really should have come to me. You should come with a supply of cheese to match your vintage wine.
Well, it's only a piece of paper. I suppose we can overlook this just this once.
She looks like she's really sorry. Should I forgive her? No. If I let up on her now, she'll get away. I have to find some way to inflict a deafening blow to this prosecution. Witness, you said the only thing you stole was that note. Is this correct?
Stole? Why don't you listen more carefully, you annoying brat? I saved this piece of paper from the terrible, lonely trash can, that's all.
You're lying, damn it, and I can prove it.
Are you putting my credibility under scrutiny again?
Miss Oldbag, I don't believe that the note is the only thing you stole. It was inside the camera case. Miss Oldbag, that note was with a camera inside its case, wasn't it?
A camera?
Yesterday, Lotta Hart was raising a huge stink over her camera. She kept saying something like, "My sweetie, the 1600 camera disappeared on me."
Why? What? Witness? What is it, Gramps?
If you have the note, then it is only logical you have the camera, too.
Grr. Looks like you found me out again, Sonny. Is this the camera you're looking for?
That's...
What? Even though I look like this, I'm still a person, you know.
I still eat meals like you. I fall in love and borrow things from people. I think your definition of borrow is a little off. I saw that woman's business card, and that's when I noticed it said, Slimebag Celebrity Photographer Extraordinaire. Well, when I saw that, I had to know what sort of pictures she'd taken. I'm a professional security guard. It's my business to know these things. Bailiff, check this camera's photos. Hurry. We must examine them at once. Let us see the juicy gossip contained within. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, what do we have?
There's only one photo that seems to be relevant to this case.
Please present it to the court. This is the Nickel Samurai. See, I told you, that's the guy I saw.
So why didn't you just show this, you know?
This proves that the witness was not lying, although not lying earlier about this matter.
Let me examine the photo a little bit more closely. Well, I mean, as usual, it looks like it doesn't really fit the guy, you know? I don't really see anything else in it, though. Is this meant to be like this part? Yes, okay. Is there anything else that's different? Well, wait, whoa, hold on. The person is definitely too short. The person is definitely too short. You can see their feet here.
What does this all mean, Mr. Edgeworth?
This photo by itself does not prove that the person is the defendant. However, in his own confession, Mr. Arngard clearly stated, at the time of the murder, he was still in his Nickel Samurai costume.
If that's the case, then this Nickel Samurai is
the defendant.
How did it come to this? I think this brings us to the end. We have examined every piece of evidence thoroughly. Final comments, Mr. Wright. This court will consider them before we close. Do you agree this photo is decisive evidence against your client?
If this photo really is decisive, then we're done for. But if I raise an objection here and blow it, I would put Maya's life in jeopardy. I can't make a mistake here. There's only one road out of this mess. There's this photo, and there's something strange. There's something strange with this photo. I knew this was coming. Right.
Your thoughts, Mr. Edgeworth?
I think we can all agree there's nothing strange about this photo. There's no way for the defense to debunk this photo even with a bunker buster.
Debunk with a bunker buster? Is that what you're planning to do, Mr. Wright?
Certainly. However, I'm going to save the game again first, because I get the vibe of a one-shot kill here. Even though I'm quite confident. Anyway, please look at the photo one more time.
If you really believe you can honestly find something wrong with this photo, then you should only need one chance, correct?
Well, I have to find something wrong with this photo. I can't let this chance go by. Where in the heck did she take this photo from, anyway? It's all out of focus. Why can't she get a good shot, especially when it counts? It's not out of focus, though. What are you talking about? This is not out of focus at all.
Now then, let's hear your objection. What about this photo is strange?
Behold the pant legs. I would like to direct the court's attention to this area right here.
What are you pointing to? His ankles?
If you could see this person's ankles, that would be one thing. However, you can't.
And what does that mean?
The costumed person in this photo could not have been Mr. Ungard.
What is the meaning of this?
I wonder if you would care to elaborate, with actual facts, that is. Let's take a look at the Nickel Samurai's poster. Please pay particular attention to the area around the bottom of the hakama.
His socks. You can see his socks.
Exactly. However, in this photo, The Nickel Samurai is clearly holding his Akama up just to walk. There's only one explanation for this. The person inside this costume is clearly much shorter than the defendant. Alright, I think I've turned things around for myself this time. That's curious. Huh? What is? Edgeworth is unusually calm today. That's true. He's just letting the trial run itself. And if he's only along for the ride... Along for the ride? What do you mean by that? I can only guess that perhaps he doesn't feel under attack at all. He doesn't feel under attack? Then I haven't damaged his case at all?
Mr. Edgeworth, where does this leave us? If the person in this photo is not Matt Ungard, then everything the prosecution has tried to prove has become meaningless.
I figured it would come to this. What? Right, I have something I want to ask you. I think you have proven that the person inside this costume is not Matt Ungard. In that case, who is this a photo of? Who is the person wearing the Nickel Samurai costume? Don't stress over this, Phoenix, it's very simple. What you should be focused on is Edgeworth's attitude, don't you think? Yeah, why is he so calm?
Mr. Wright, let's hear your thoughts. Who is the person in this photograph?
It's Adrian Andrews.
Adrian Andrews?
If you want to know who that Nickel Samurai is, it's none other than this woman. And why would you say it must be Miss Andrews? What in the world points you to her? For starters, she's short. And she can freely move in and out of Mr. Ungard's room. Finally, she had dinner with Mr. Ungard that night. It also just has to be somebody that has access to Ungard's room, because otherwise there's no way for the knife to get there.
And how does that all add up?
It means that it makes it very easy for her to get a certain item. A certain knife with Mr. Ungard's fingerprints all over it.
The knife that was used as a murder weapon.
Why don't you just say what it is you want, Wright? I have to do this now. This is my last chance to turn things around. The defense moves to indict Miss Adrian Andrews in the murder of Juan Carita. It was Miss Andrews who tried to frame the defendant for the crime.
Order, order, order. It looks like this trial has hit a most unexpected development. Mr. Edgeworth.
Yes, Your Honor.
This court is issuing a subpoena for Miss Adrian Andrews. A verdict cannot be passed without first hearing her testimony.
Alright, this is it. This is kind of bad for us. Huh? What do you mean? If Adrian Andrews is summoned to court as a witness, it means the trial will go on for another day. One more day. Ah! If I don't get a verdict today, then Maya...
Well then, we shall set Miss Andrews' testimony for tomorrow.
What am I supposed to do? The judge is about to adjourn the court.
Now then.
Please, Your Honor, continue the trial. You must pass a verdict today.
I can't do that. We cannot hear Miss Adrian Andrews' testimony if she's not.
I abhor wasting such valuable time. Edgeworth? Your Honor, I request that you please continue with today's trial.
But we cannot continue due to this unexpected development.
Tisk tisk. Unexpected development? I think you underestimate me, Your Honor.
And what do you mean by that?
That Mr. Phoenix Wright would slave his way to subpoenaing Miss Adrian Andrews is all happening according to plan, even if Wright was a bit slow to catch on. What?
What is the meaning of your statement, Mr. Edgeworth?
Miss Adrian Andrews is currently waiting in the prosecution's lobby. She's the next witness. Everything was planned out in advance by that man. Somehow I knew there was no way Edgeworth would overlook Miss Andrews. Looks like this battle is far from over. Exactly.
Very well. We will call the next witness. However, before we proceed, we shall take a 10-minute recess. Please prepare your witness in that time, Mr. Edgeworth. The court will take a 10-minute recess.
We did it. We've delayed the destruction of the city. Oh god. Alright, let's solve some crimes.